then, 3rd District is here, however, because 3rd District lies. So let me just see which one of 3rd District is presenting, and I'll turn the floor over to 3rd District. Which one of you guys would like to take the floor? Come on up! We are so glad to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you. Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Loughran. I'm the captain in the 3rd District. This ground right here is technically the 3rd District. Just a little bit about myself, just very briefly. I've been a captain for a few months. Recently assigned to the 3rd District, previously in the 5th District out in the Roseland community. So some of you guys, that gets a lot of press, sometimes not necessarily the best press. But I was a tactical lieutenant there for about 2 years. So I had the benefit of working for then Captain Jones, now Commander Jones. He's on vacation this week, so I'm also have the benefit of serving in his seat this week. I'm the executive officer in the 3rd District, in our chain of command, as the 2nd person in command. So the district itself, again, we run from the expressway, pretty much from about 60th Street to about 75th Street south, from the expressway all the way east to the lakefront, which also encompasses the park itself. Obviously, a great deal of different communities there, and a great deal of stakeholders such as yourself. Myself, I know when I was a beat officer starting off about 18 years ago in the 8th District, actually, I'm sorry, in the 21st District, which is what, this used to be the 21st District across the way. CAPS was always very important to me, community meetings always very important, and when you would go to a meeting such as this, it's very rare you have so many people that would come out that actually truly care. So thank you very much for that, because it's difficult nowadays when you have somebody who actually cares about their community and then wants to take steps to make their community better. Things that affect your community, believe it or not, affect my community. Bad guys are transient. Bad guys are mobile, they have cars. So your bad guys are my bad guys. So we live in, no joke, a global community, but the city in and of itself, bad guys that are affecting, say, way up north, they're going to be taking the train back and forth. They're going to be from the 3rd District, from the 2nd District, from the 7th District. They're going to go all over the place. So it's not something that, as much as some people might want to pretend, it doesn't affect my neighborhood, and it's not right in front of me. In reality, it affects everybody's neighborhood. So that's I think it's great to see so many people who are, that are here, that are interested in what's going on. I'm sure having a lot of food doesn't hurt the situation as far as bringing people out. So I'm sorry I couldn't make it on time for that. I was actually tied up in the district. So now I don't know to what direction you want me to take it as far as
since you're here and we're in this building, let's just start with talking about the murder in this building.
Okay, the murder in this building is still an ongoing investigation. It's not within my ability, my purview to discuss it. But I will say this: this building in of itself is it's an isolated incident. I know the bad guys that are, I say the people that were involved in it, we actually had contact with them just briefly prior to the incident. So that shows me two things. First off, that our officers in the immediate area are engaged, and that we're coming in contact with the right people. We're stopping the right people in the right places. It's a difficult situation whenever you have, obviously, a violent crime like that. We want to prevent every single shooting. We want to prevent every single murder. But as you guys may or may not have seen the superintendent's press conference earlier today, a lot of our offenders that we're coming in contact with, or a lot of our individuals that are being shot, have a great deal of police contact. We're stopping them, we're arresting them, and we're working with our other partners in prosecution, and also as far as and also in corrections to try to make sure that we have the best remedies as far as keeping bad guys in prison, bad guys and bad girls in prison. Now, isolated incident that happened here. I know in addition to our regular patrol, we're also focusing as a department a great deal on our parks and park security. Let that go by there. Competing with somebody's on the way to go do something important. In the 3rd District itself, just so you guys know and understand how it works. Because we have such a vast lakefront and we have a great deal of park property to deal with, that's a huge footprint. That's, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's 331's beat, correct? 331's beat, as far as you guys understand, typically you have one beat car that's assigned to a particular beat, and then you have discretionary manpower, which then we are allowed to move to trouble areas and focus on specific chronic crime and disorder. The department allowed us to have additional openings for bike patrol officers, additional bike patrol personnel. They've been in for all of the city, from all of the city, and we have those personnel that we use to focus in the lakefront and the beaches. I know those men and women are focusing. They've also stepped up their checks over here, making sure that this is as problem-free as possible, in addition to making sure that at 9 o'clock this specific structure closes down, and enforcing that with citation or, if need be, physical arrest. But again, stopping the right people at the right places to make sure we can affect that crime and take care of that as best as possible. We also have a park car that's designated, which is the beat number is 305, which is the number that's on top of the beat. They specifically take care of the parks. I will tell you this, the primary officers that are assigned to that car, they are ruthless when it comes to enforcing the park rules, making sure that we don't have any problems, open drinking, the disorder, chronic crime and disorder, quality of life issues. Those, because I'm a firm believer in quality of life issues. If we can focus on those, we can affect a great deal of change just by focusing on those issues right there. Again, it's just to illustrate the problem, or to say, think about this. I'm sorry, in your community, if everywhere you look left and right, if we allow somebody to be drinking a beer out on the street, if you're going to let that go, what else are you going to let go? If you're going to let somebody with loud music, somebody who's causing a disturbance in your neighborhood, if you're going to let that go, what else are you going to let go? If we focus on that, again, I believe, and I know the superintendent believes, you can have a dynamic impact in your community. I've seen it happen. I've put it in place myself as a patrol officer all the way on through the different ranks. So that's a focus. It's a primary focus to try to issue citations, ordinance complaints, and again, you direct that into the appropriate court. And it's maybe a more effective, I would think it's a more effective tool to issue those citations and to be able to correct the problem right then and there, as opposed to taking officers off the street to go process an arrestee for several hours, which is, so that's what we're focusing on. Again, we want to keep those officers on the street, and again, you want to try to take care of that and to help people who need help. We also have additional personnel that are working special employment just in the parks. So you're going to have a 305, an additional 305 car that's going to be in every single night. Those are the two officers that are coming in on buyback, what they call buyback for special employment. So again, you've got that additional resource. In such a large park like that, like we have here, you do have a great deal of police officers that are trying to focus on, again, the problem areas. But that being said, none of this can be accomplished solely by the police alone. You need people such as people on the left and the right to call. You guys are our eyes and ears. If you see something that needs to be addressed, we can't be everywhere, and you need to direct us where to go, because we're not omnipresent nor omnipotent. So I always urge people, dial 911. It's a free call. Dial it often. If you can give us as much information as possible, describe from head to toe, because that's how we operate. We look at things from head to toe. He's got this kind of hat. She's got this kind of hair, this kind of shirt, and so on and so forth. What they're doing, and if we can call you back, because sometimes in a big park like this, again, just to address a park like here, it's difficult to find a bad guy unless you give a specific geographic, like an address. That's how we operate. That's how I think. I need an address. Sometimes I'm kind of dumb like that. So if we can call you back, and just say, hey, listen, just don't front me off. Don't call me right in front of. I want to be anonymous. That's fine too. But if it's specific information, we can call you back. That's very helpful. I can tell you, I can't tell you as a supervisor how many times I've been racing to a job, and I call on the phone myself. Give me a little better description of is this guy still on the scene? Is he running? That kind of stuff like that. And that goes for any disturbance or any kind of problem, but especially here in the parks. You got such a large footprint, you really got to worry about that. I know also the Commander Jones and I have discussed a great deal as far as making sure on first watch, which are the overnights, making sure we have additional manpower, again, to help out that beat car, because one riot, one ranger, that's pretty tough. One entire park for one car. So again, trying to divert that in that direction to make sure that once we kick everybody out of the park by 11 o'clock, once we shut it down and we've got it quiet, that they don't sneak back in once we leave, right? So that's the idea from that as well. So that being said, this is a beautiful park. I started my career in the 21st district, which is part of that. Then further on, again, as a sergeant, I came back here to work in different aspects. And then as a lieutenant, I was in charge of an overtime program that was diverted to handle the lakefronts. That was one of the things we were handling, was we were making sure that we had no problems with additional resources. And now I'm back here in the 3rd district as the captain. So I think it's beautiful. I mean, Hyde Park has got a great history. And again, Hyde Park itself, because I hear a lot of Hyde Parkers that are here. And Jackson Park itself, I actually just went and met some people from the Jackson Park Highlands. Anybody familiar with that neighborhood as well? Okay, you live there? Okay. It took me 45 minutes to get into your neighborhood, and it took me probably.
You don't know which way.
Exactly. Yeah, you're trying to keep the riffraff out, right?
Yeah,
fantastic homes, fantastic parties, and then it took me about a half hour to find my way out. So, so again, as I'm getting to know the different neighborhoods here, falling more and more in love with it, because again, I'm a big history buff, and you have a tremendous amount of history. So.
We'd like to invite you to come to our Jackson Park Advisory Council District Tour at 11 o'clock on Saturday. We'll tell you everything about it.
That sounds very cool.
Sir, I want to make you aware of an issue. On the south side of the track on Stony Island,
okay,
like the 100 yards south of the track by the bathroom, and there's swings there.
Okay.
We're having a problem with people having picnics there and driving their cars into the park.
Okay.
And it's not just like the Music Fest last weekend. That was separate. Those people were parked there for the picnics there. It's an ongoing problem all summer long. Where people just drive their cars right into that little paved area and leave them there for 4 or 5 hours while they have a picnic.
Yeah, I wouldn't personally. Again, as far as I'm glad you brought that up because you're bringing me back up point. In the park itself, and in the parks, I know that there was an additional directive, a reminder to all personnel. Again, when we have problems in the parks. Parks in and of itself, again, it's a place for passive enjoyment, right? Everybody should be able to enjoy our parks. We have going back for the founding of the city, we have phenomenal lakeside parks. And it's actually written into the law for that land is supposed to be for the purpose of that. 50 or more people in a park requires, in one event requires a permit. So that's something we're kind of focusing on. And again, just a reminder to all personnel. And stuff like that, again, we don't want to have a large group of people attracting people who are going to then cause a problem for everyone, and ultimately it could potentially turn into violence again if you have problematic individuals. Nor do we want to allow somebody else to drive their vehicles out there and then create a problem for everyone else. So what we can do, if you could jot that down for me, and then we can address it as well. I know the night before we had the large musical event. Actually, we had to kind of form an ad hoc strike team to run out and take care of exactly that. I know we had a lot of that to deal with.
But this is not an issue because of the music thing.
No.
This is an ongoing problem that's all summer. It starts in as early as maybe April, depending on how good the weather is. And people will just drive in there. There were 3 cars, not on the pavement, but on the grass. Right. People who were picnicking there during the music festival.
Okay, well, I'll see if I can get the bike guys to focus on it. You said it's all cottage?
It's on Stony Island. On Stony Island.
Okay.
Just northeast of the actual high school. But they have to get out of their car and walk over the berm or they won't see people.
6200 South between Cornell Drive and Stony Island.
Thank you, because again, that's how I think. I think in geographic coordinates. Okay.
Yeah, the problem is plenty of officers might be patrolling on Stony, but if they don't get out of their car and walk over the berm, they're often not going to see anything as they drive past.
I'll have the bike guys.
That's
a specific thing, yeah. Okay.
So 3 other places. One is 67th and Stony.
Sure.
And unfortunately, because it's a nice drive, you could come off 67th right up there. It's a nice pass-through for us. And if they see the police on one side of the street, they'll move across the other side of the street to the Walgreens side.
Sure.
And we've been kind of chasing them back and forth. We call prosecutor of 3rd District regularly when we see them. But that just seems like it needs somebody always there. Second thing is here, even though people are here and it's wonderful, I still pick up every day, because I clean every day from here all the way to Stony Island. I pick up 20 to 30 different bottles here every day, which means that somebody is here at night when you guys are around. So I'm thinking, is it possible to use a camera here to see?
We can explore that. I could definitely check into that. Now I can definitely look into that.
That's what they do is,
Wait a minute,
they
let
see
me just
you and
say,
they go
there are
down,
already
they go down the
cameras.
street.
We already have cameras that are covered over here that were installed last year.
Can they see inside?
I don't know whether they can see inside, but they can see all the way down that way.
Yeah, I think-
I've already actually talked to Commander Jones about this, and so he has scheduled an appointment actually to go over to where they are by the museum and look to see. Because after the shooting, we addressed it at the public meeting that I held, so he does have an appointment with security, and so they're all around there.
Because someone raised that last week and I said, no, we'll find out. So that
Yeah.
seemed to be,
They've
because
been
they
there.
know when you're here and they simply wait till you leave and they come back again. The other thing is we have guys that are being really suggestive down at the play lot at Dickerson. They sit there on the bench, they unzip their pants, and so I've called second district, third district twice about it, and unfortunately the guys walk off before you guys go through. But maybe just to have folks drive through periodically. Then the female prostitutes are using the bench below Dickerson there at night to do business. They call their jobs to the bench at 56 at Cordell, and they come across the board. We can't be seen below there to do business. So we're finding condoms and pads there at the moment. And I found my first condoms here last night, so they're actually moved here now, which is kind of
It's kind of a scenic.
travel around.
Yeah.
They're also in the Park District parking lot, right on
That's-
55th Street.
55th, 63rd, both at Cornell.
And there's lots of broken liquor bottles, condoms, and lots of loud noise kind of stuff.
I know my park car, especially my third watch park car, their primary focus is they're trying their best. One of the officers is formally assigned to prostitution, and that is her forte. And it sounds poor when I say that, but that's her. I mean, but that's her skill set. Is she knows how to enforce to prevent that from happening, and then that's what she really spends a lot of time in the park. I mean, just about every day, and through a combination of, like I said, administrative citations and physical arrests. So what I'll do is I'll actually request what's called an IDSSR, request for an outside unit to come in, and some prostitutions are coming in to the charge.
Because they're out good. They sit there and they call their belts and they come over to the side and then you find them. And the third place is the Cornell parking lot at 6th there in Cornell. That's where for years drug dealers have kind of gone in there and made, so they threw them all out last year. They got rid of all the party nights that people used to go in the party for hours. That's been gone, and then over the last 2 weeks it's coming back again.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it's enforcement, but we're just beginning to see. I picked up 120 bottles here this weekend.
Wow.
So it means that somebody was having a fine time Saturday night.
Yeah, if it was one person, that's really having a good time.
Every day.
And then the music court behind the Museum of Science and Industry, good people use it.
Yeah.
But there are also a whole variety of folks at night who go in there and just party on their own, leave the liquor, and you find the John bags there too now. You're finding John bags here and there. So those are kind of the spots where after you guys are short staffed, they come in and they go, and they know it, and they know they get out with them.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was talking about as far as we try to push them out, shut it down, and then again, being able to circle back around and make sure we can maintain that, and make sure we can maintain everybody out. Yes, ma'am? Well, the way the Chicago Police Department uses their canine and their canine handlers is primarily for building searches and narcotics detection, and also we have explosives and bomb detection. So, I mean, we do have that, but it wouldn't be necessarily the right tool for the job. I mean, again, if we have they kind of shy away from us using canine for crowds. Yeah, I don't know if that will be the best application for that.
What about for mounted police?
Mounted, we actually, they primarily have them downtown, but we can try. I mean, those are for what they call force multipliers, meaning so one horse to the equivalent of an entire stick or entire group of personnel to move crowds, and those are usually for large crowds. I mean, I know they had them out for the closing of the Chosen Few Music Festival. If they had them out for that, they'll have them say for like the Bud Billiken, they'll have them for parades. But then if their normal deployment is going to be primarily off of Rush Street, downtown, because it gets so congested, or they'll have them down the lakefront. I mean, I can certainly explore that as an option.
Yeah, especially on weekend nights up here, that summer weekend.
Sure, it's something to change it up. Something to change it up a little bit, and not a bad idea. So.
I think the cooks know where you are. They must have their cell phones out and tell each other, because you'll watch them, they'll just move their operation. And you'll see the guy on the bench at 63rd Street will be on one bench, and he'll get a phone call, he'll move 3 benches over, and he's soliciting for folks inside. I think they know.
I will say this, just in comments, just in narcotic sales, my own brief explanation. I've worked all over the city. I've worked north, I've worked south, I've worked west. I have to say, on the south side here, narcotics sales and enforcement of narcotics is very difficult. It's almost like the joke is you need a resume tied to it. Because it's all done by cell phone, and the transactions are all very, very elusive. It's not like, say, in other places where you have an open air narcotic sales where somebody is on a corner and they're selling that simple, and they line up, and you have a guy who takes money. And I mean, you may seem ridiculous, yes. But some other places, the first time I saw it, I was like, whoa! And I know, and again, what used to be the 21st district and is now the 2nd district. You did have some open air territories in their 22nd. They did a phenomenal job of knocking it down, but the first time I saw it, there's a guy standing in line in the alley, and he's putting out the dope, and there's a guy who's patting people down to make sure that they're not the police and not there to rob the dope man, and there's the other guy who's taking the money. It's just like it's in a store. Oh, see, I haven't seen dogs. That's pretty.
Dogs attack dogs, so if it's the wrong person.
And it's because dogs scare everybody, right? And whether or not they're attack dogs is more, to make it to blend in with the crowd. So yeah, it's not like that out here. I mean, you kind of illustrated the point. They're very smart. They're going to call. You just got to be smarter. Just got to outthink them. You got to make sure you use yourself.
And the reservations.
So I'm sorry.
And the reservations.
Well, yeah. Well, you'd be surprised. I mean, we had a guy that was. I mean, they deliver it like pizza. It's that simple. It's that simple. And I have to be honest with you. At that point, if you're delivering dope, a $10 bag of dope like pizza, you're probably not making more than probably 30 cents off of each transaction. I can't imagine you're making much money in the long run, unless you're in management. So who knows? But any other questions for you? Sir.
I know the murder was an isolated incident, but people had said that there had been a kind of a long-standing problem with loud parties here, disruptions, and I'm curious how effective, whether there have been other cases where they've done this closing a structure or a part of a park earlier in other places, and how effective that's been, or how effective you might expect it to be here.
I mean, I don't believe we've had any problems. Obviously we haven't had any murders, but it's been very quiet since then. And again, I think it has a lot to do with the pressure we're putting up. I think it also has a great deal with the public being involved exactly here. And I'm sure this is chosen for a specific purpose, this location here. And so I think that's the measure of success right there, in my mind. I can tell you, just as right now, it's all about using your resources effectively. And that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to make sure we redeploy and have our bike guys coming here as part of a route, not necessarily at a steady time. At this time, we're always here at this time, with the exception of 9 o'clock, the closing time. So now, and then being able to circle back around and coming back at night to making sure bad guys don't come back in. And when I say bad guys, I mean generally. You might have decent people who stop here that don't know it's closed after 9 o'clock. So again, I think keeping that presence known and keeping at irregular times, though at this, the remaining time of 9 o'clock, I think that's our most effective tool. And I think that's, like I said, I think we're making a great headway, not only here but also in the rest of the park as well. I hope does that answer your question? Okay, so. I know that has effect all around the city. Remember, everybody, we only hear about we don't hear good stories. We always hear the bad stories. Right. My dad was on the job. He retired after 31 years, and he had a very, very important point that he taught me. He says, nobody calls the police and said, hey, everything's going great. They only call the police when something has gone tragically wrong. And then at that point, the police come, and then we have to effect some kind of solution. Unfortunately, sometimes that solution is by taking somebody to jail. So, so that's that. Everybody loves the firemen. People seldom love the police. I don't know if that's fair, but so okay. Any other questions before? I don't want to keep you guys from anything.
Lorenzo. Yeah. The third component. I depend on him every day. The man who I can call and say, I don't know what's going on here. Can you figure it out? And he would probably say, the 2nd district, it's 3rd district. Here's who you call. Lorenzo Chu, who is the man who is just the most amazing participant
Thank you. I haven't been applauded much lately. I'm the assistant director of security for the last 22 years. Since I left the police department, formally commander of this district here. We try to supplement what the police officers are doing for us. We try to give it a personal touch to the problems, the homeless, we need a lot of help with the gangs, as you saw in the news yesterday up on Montrose and Wilson. It took forces of 3 police districts or 4 police districts to put that one down. But they did in a professional fashion, recovering a gun and making just a few disorderly arrests. When they saw that the police were there for business, they began to disperse and stop throwing rocks and bricks at them. We've had some concerns here with homicides for about 3 years now, I guess. That is not, it's always from outside the community, with the exception of the young lady, the college student that was hit by a stray bullet. You know, it's always from outside the community. And everybody always raised the question about closing the park early. I, for one, would rather keep it open at the hours that the ordinance prescribed and try to provide the enforcement that's necessary between the police department and park district security and anywhere else we can get some help. So the people who are the good citizens who are entitled to these beautiful parks can use them, because when you begin to shut them down, you're punishing yourselves. So we try to move the negative element out of the parks or control them while they're in the parks so you can use them. And that's, I was listening to you say, there seems to be a move of foot, a thought trend where if we close that park at 9 o'clock, what will happen? The same thing. So you're still going to need enforcement. The same thing's going to happen, because the individuals that are causing you problems, they could care less about an 11 o'clock closing or a 9 o'clock closing. They only care about when they're caught breaking the law and end up in jail. And that's what we hope to keep them accommodated with, Sergeant. And or Captain, I'm sorry.
It's all right, it's all the same.
No, it's not the same.
The pension's different.
I've been gone so long I can't recognize the ranks anymore. But any questions you have of us? Yes.
Lorenzo, the biggest one always is the parking lots of 63rd and Stony and 63rd and Cornell. Are we still dumping the booze and just leaving the guys there, or are we encouraging?
We are still doing all the enforcement we can. You're talking about 63rd and Cornell? Yes, we do the enforcement there. We light it up. We enforce parking to get it closed on time. That's something the 3rd District came up with before anyone else in the city. They said if the park is closed, the parking lots are closed because there's no parking. And when they began to announce that we're about to write tickets, well, none of us want one of those tickets today as much as they cost, so people come running to get out of there, you know. And that's one of the most effective means that's been developed in the last 3 or 4 years. But it started right here. I can tell you, because I worked all over the city, it started right here in the 3rd District, you know, at the patrol officer level. So be proud of that you got people that are committed to you, and they're using all the innovations they can to keep peace in your park.
And the other issue, obviously, is still Wooded Island. The guys are getting out at the end of Wooded Island. 3 guys, usually the 4 guys, that sit in the 4 benches there at the end.
I'm sorry, I couldn't quite hear.
The 4 guys who are doing business at the end of at the south end of Wooded Island are pretty much there every day anyway. Are they being encouraged to move on?
Yes, but the south end of what now?
The Wooded Island.
Oh, Wooded Island. Oh,
Female prostitutes that kind of thing.
They have been encouraged to move on ever since one Sunday morning our
Yeah, I didn't know until I wasn't sure.
Yeah, they will tell you, are you talking about 6401 Stony? So we always say, please, I get on the phone and say, please put it out. Every policeman in the 3rd District knows how to find Wooded Island, and then they do it, you know. Supervisor.
I just need to say it's so much better than what we started 3 years ago. It's hugely better. So thank you for that, because
Thank you.
it used to be that there was somebody on every bench and focusing on this. Now it's gone.
I'm sure you know already about the chaos at the point with people driving their cars out there. So we need to get some sort of barricade on the driveway right over here on the northbound side of the drive.
You're talking about people having special events?
Well, the problem is that when other people see the caterers going out there, everybody else wants to follow. And it's getting out of control. In the last month now, there's been cars at the point or on the bike path on the west side of the drive, north of the tunnel, who have decided, I'm going to park there.
So what you're saying on a sensible level, try to figure out who's a caterer and who's not, and those who are not, stay away.
And if you have to put up one of those police barricade things.
Yeah. No, but we could, you know, the guard there could say, are you catering or what? And if the answer is no, you have to park in the lot or on the street.
It's getting really bad.
Yeah, well, I will enforce that, reinforce that to my guards that are
officers who are on
assigned.
bikes have had plenty of opportunity to ticket.
Well, that's the police department side, but I assign someone to the special event there to keep undesirables from walking into that event. You know.
We can relate it to the 2nd District. The second district side.
I have a very different comment to make. I'm on the safety committee. My husband and I have been walking in Jackson Park for 40 some odd years. We live in Jackson Park Highlands. We walk through Wooded Island. We walk up Bobolink Meadow. We walk up to La Rabida. We walk all over the place, and I feel safe during the day when I walk.
You feel what?
Safe.
All right, that's wonderful to hear.
I see cars, security cars occasionally, but I rarely see people that I feel don't belong there. Rarely. Occasionally when I go to the Wooded Island on the south end, especially when they first put that mulch path in, we started walking on it, and there was something going on, so we went the other way. That was the only time I felt unsafe, but I would like to say that I think the park is terrific during the day.
Well, there have been incidents there, but I've received calls on it, and we have taken action to suppress undesirable behavior there.
I take my cell phone if I see them, which I never do.
We even have some big spotlights. They don't like the 2 million candlelight spotlight. Yeah.
But it's about lights. We were at the meeting at Montgomery Place. We talked about the lights here, about having them on or off.
Still a circus.
Oh, the circus. But I understood that they were going to be on at night. Are they? They were only on one night, and it felt better. It looked better, and then they're off again. What's happening?
I will check on that. Now, sometimes we turn lights on. Give an example. There's a tennis court over here behind the harbor. If we leave the lights on, there are people in these high rises to complain that they're shining lights in their windows. See? So I don't know if anybody called. You'll ask, put the lights on, because no one can hide under here. Someone else will call and say you're wasting electricity. So we're doing, and it depends on who they talk to. You know, if we don't have
the lights were going to be put on.
If we don't have the good communication going between landscape division and security and police department, then the lights will be gone on one night and they'll be off another, because they'll be responding to whoever's complaining.
I can tell you the answer to that. They've had electricians out here 5 times to fix it, and 5 times in the last 5 days it's been fixed. It worked well, and it's working at 4 o'clock this afternoon really well. With great lights, and they cut off at 5. So it's the same problem they've been dealing with. Park District knows about it. I'm talking to them, meeting with them regularly out here at the place that it gets fixed. It works well. There's a short somewhere. They're trying to find it. They're trying to work on it. I call every day. They come out. The lights come back on. Off again. But they're working on it. They're truly working on it, because it's a weirdo. It's a wonderful. People see this building and go, wow, this is the most beautiful building. We should be doing something with it. So our next goal is to close in the Center Park and have this available for meetings. It'd be great for cash meetings. It'd be great for board meetings. It'd be great for all kinds of things people can have. It's just buildings being torn apart right now by vandals. Shouldn't be happening, and so we'll get the lights working, we can look over it, it'll be a place where the community would have the resources to use. Right now, I'm having soccer practice here, and the kids through the years who think it can actually be a part of this and be seeing it all the time. The more we have a yoga class that meets out here in the morning, we have a kung fu class that's out here, the more people who can get out here doing things, the better it is. And then we just want to close it in, so it'd be great for community meetings. My pride and joy, which is Laura Bito. Bad guys have been gone for about 6 months. They're back again. The North Promenade, I picked up 122 liquor bottles last Tuesday, which means...
It's on the south end of the building?
North end.
North end of the building?
Or the circle roundabout.
They were good. They were gone. You guys have gotten rid of them really nicely before the ball. They're back again. And unfortunately, I haven't been out that night for a while, but I know they're at night because there's so they're back again. So if somebody could look at that again, that would be great. Because that's such a beautiful place. We've got the wheelchair line there, so you get the kids down to the but you've got to go over all the liquor bottles and dime bags and food. So if we could get somebody to do that again, that would be great.
That's what makes these meetings good.
Yeah.
What you're just describing is the police, park security put pressure in one area, and they don't leave. They go to another area until we come there and move them somewhere else. You see, they'll even go as far away as the suburbs, but but they don't want to go home. They don't want to leave the park.
They just hit the North Promenade again badly. So
And let me digress for a minute.
Go ahead.
The lights situation. Unfortunately, both the city of Chicago and Park District are victims of vandalism and thefts from the electrical system. So if you see somebody fooling around at the base of one of these light poles and it doesn't look like a worker, he might be stealing copper wire. So call the police, call 911, and that'll help us out. We caught someone last month at Douglas Park, stealing on the west side, stealing the copper wires from the lights.
They realize those doors are hot? They realize those doors are hot? Doors are hot.
Yeah, they're hot.
Oh yeah.
They know how to do it.
They don't care.
They know how to do it.
Yeah. They'll steal from a hot
That's why we
surface.
love having Lorenzo.
And some of the dope pushers will put out the lights so they could work in the dark.
Yeah, the copper thefts are tremendous. We would, whenever the first time anybody in out south at 5, anybody in their residences would try to turn on their air conditioning, they would realize that somebody stole the copper out of their air conditioner outside their unit. We would always have a spike in thefts. So yeah, it's unfortunate in a bad economy, people are going to start scrapping. It's right there. And it's gonna be
They didn't take the copper for my air conditioner. They took the whole air conditioner.
That was the thing. They was the whole central air.
So I had to get it back and put a cage over it.
Yeah, you had to buy a cage over it, right?
More questions?
I'm curious, since you got, I know we're not really talking only about violence, but since there's legislation to increase the penalty for gun violence in parks, would that help, as people who are on the ground in parks, would that help? Would that be a useful tool for you?
It'll help with lawful people, you know. But if the people that basically are affected, I'll give you an example. Friday night, I don't know how many people know about guns. Captain probably knows. Up in Hickory Park, on the northwest side of the city, a 45 caliber Sig Sauer 250. The gun hasn't been out for what, 6 months from the manufacturer. It was found on the park bench, which means the police were coming along and the guy didn't want to get caught with this gun, so he just put it down. That is a $1,200 gun that somebody left on a park bench. But it's in police inventory now, so lawful people won't bring guns into the park, but the bad guys will still do it, and it's still going to take police and security trying to keep them down. So, I could tell you something else, but yes.
More questions?
Thank you very much for your time. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you.
So you could have a chance to tell us about what's going on with the elemental office.
Well, it's getting rather late, and somebody plugged the meter in the parking lot. But I do want to bring your attention to something that we are hosting, which is very important, I think, to the community, particularly during the summer, is lakefront safety for those that boat, and for the kids that are at the beaches and along the lakefronts. Every year we hear about kids that fall into the lake or that don't know how to swim and that drown. So in addition to promoting swimming, we also need to do some safety. You know, the Fifth Ward is no stranger to children that have fallen in the harbors and, you know, only steps away from their parents. And I've known the folks that have been in the water trying to find the child in the murkiness, and it has not ended well. So I thought it was a good idea for us to have a lakefront safety class. And so I'm combining with the other aldermen on the lakefront and the fire department, and so we're going to do it Thursday, July 24th from 3 to 4 right here at 57th Street Beach. We're going to get some helicopters. I do believe they're going to try to do a rescue, weather permitting, and so they're going to give you some tips just for an hour, and I thought that'd be really good for the kids.
Talk to the Sea Scouts too. The Sea Scouts have a program in Jackson Park.
The Sea Scouts have a program at Jackson Park too. I don't know how many of them are in it anymore. Because when they got rid of Venetian Night, when the city got rid of Venetian Night down there, it got rid of a lot of the kids that were part of the Sea Scouts at one of my local elementary schools at O'Keefe. So, you know, they're still trying
18.
They've got 18 now?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. They're not from O'Keefe. But we did have one in there. And so that would be good. We should bring them out. You should invite them here.
I will.
So I've got these to pass out. And okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I also want to congratulate Gary. Gary has been an asset to everybody, not just the advisory council.